Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on leveraging data science for fraud detection and prevention. I would like to thank each one of you for taking your precious time out and consider attending this webinar. In this webinar, we'll go through various challenges the finance industry is facing across the globe and how data science can be leveraged in tackling those. As we are all aware, post-COVID-19 era has changed a lot of equations in global finance market. It has become crucial for the financial institutions across the globe as well as consumers to reassess their financial assets and secure them against any unforeseen event in near future. Although institutions and banks across the globe utilize, store, and process the consumer's confidential data in order to make the important financial decisions, most of the processes are still done manually. In addition to that, the concerns pertaining to the data security still prevail. Hackers use the system loopholes to steal such sensitive information and use for the malicious purposes, which puts the extra burden on the available resources and technology. With such big data access and expertise in the artificial intelligence, organizations can implement the innovative solutions to tackle such problems. This webinar will focus on how data science can be leveraged in helping various institutions and solving their problems at a broader scale and realize the true business potential in a longer run. I would I would like to go and showcase the agenda of this webinar. We'll start with the introduction about Sunera Tech, followed by the data and analytics capabilities. We will take a look on the challenges faced by the financial industry and how we could tackle them with the data science. We will see various AI opportunities that can be utilized uh, for fighting the various challenges in the finance industry. And later, we'll take a look on a couple of case studies which will showcase us how the machine learning as well as deep learning will help us to tackle such problems. We will also have the question and answer uh, uh, session wherein we would like to answer any questions you may have pertaining to this webinar as well as the data science as a whole. I would like to start introducing our team. Ravi Reddy is our co-founder and CEO of Sunera Technologies, and he's entrepreneur by heart. He possesses 20 years of entrepreneurship experience in building the various technology products and services for businesses across the globe. Ravi possesses specialization in cloud migration, cloud transformation, customer acquisition, and relationship management. Ravi has built successful models, solutions, and global program management, including the inception of Sunera Tech in 2005. Driven by the passion to create the technology for a better world, Ravi strives to build a performance-driven organization while still making it a fun place to work. Naveen Kumar Gadda leads the data analytics and monetization team in Sunera, which is responsible for providing the unique solutions to every businesses across the globe utilizing the data. The DAM team is comprised of enterprise data warehousing, continuous data management solutions, and the data science team. Naveen possesses extensive experience in data analytics, monetization, serving many industries across the globe, and possesses a vision to provide the value of the data in cost-effective and customer-centric approaches. About myself, I'm Vaibhav Jadhav. I'm looking after all the data science initiatives in the DA team in Sunera. I come from engineering research and development background when I spent over 8+ years in research and development serving the automotive, aerospace, heavy engineering, and automation industry. Later, I switched on to the data science, wherein I have been working for last 7+ years, providing the innovative solutions to various business domains, uh, including but not limited to engineering, healthcare, retail, and OTT platform companies. About Sunera Tech is based out of Troy, United States. It's a digital transformation enabler, providing the solution and services accessible to the customers across the globe in affordable way. With our demonstrated capabilities and the expertise, we thrive to create a better world by harnessing the emerging technologies' true potential. We believe that the leading organizations are disrupted before getting disrupted. Hence, we team up with our clientele, partners, internal technical expertise to make the difference in people's lives while embracing the technologies. To enable businesses we and experience a full-scale transformation, we have a comprehensive approach that optimizes our expertise and client collaboration. Our offerings include and group into the 5 horizons, which is cloud infrastructure, digital transformation and innovation, data monetization, enterprise app modernization, and digital assurance. Our end-to-end solutions they span across various industries such as manufacturing, retail, healthcare, automotive, telecom, logistic, etc. We nurture companies with self-funded innovative model, collaborating with businesses to experiment with our innovation and share the essence of true business transformation. Our innovative models and cutting-edge services help the customers across the globe probe into their business priorities, the scope of progress, and achieve the business results with advanced performance. We are having the technology partnership with Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle, and SAP, which strengthens our abilities to meet the customers' expectations and provide the best-in-class experience in solution delivery. These are our key customers who have been benefited by Suneratech's expertise in various domains, which includes health and pharma, manufacturing, BFSI, energy, consumer, and telecom. Whether it is predicting the customer churn rates or finding out the predictive maintenance solution for the manufacturing or deciding upon the client's health when it comes to the healthcare domain and suggesting and recommendation the innovative solutions for the hospitalized industry. We serve many customers across the globe in these domains. Taking a look at data and analytics capabilities in Suneratech, the DAM team in Suneratech comprises of experts from the key sectors and serving many industries, providing data science, enterprise data warehousing, and CDMS solutions around the globe. The team competencies include the BI tools, ETL tools, MDM, and cloud, as well as big data, data lake, and data monetization. We have partnership with the industry recognized tools and technologies from AWS, Microsoft, and Oracle, which ensures the design, development, and deployment by implementing the innovative approaches and latest tool without much entanglement, resulting in delivering the project in least amount of time. DAM closely work with the industry experts, own technical teams, adopt the best industry practices, ensuring all the critical aspects are considered while developing the customer-centric solution, causing smooth delivery of the project. With our team of experts, we have achieved 70% IP-driven engagements, including but not limited to the DataNext platform, which is data analytic and insight generation as a service platform, OGDEN, which is a pre-canned analytics built on top of Oracle Analytics Cloud, Cloud Tester for test automation, HR Express, and Oracle Project Express Analytics platform. Let's go on and discuss about the finance industry challenges and the outlook towards it. The global finance sector comprises about 20 to 25% of the global GDP. This service market was US $22,515 billion in 2021, which is expected to reach around $28,530 billion by 2025 at the compound annual growth rate of 6%. Taking a look at a scale, we see that the Western Europe has the biggest finance sector in the world with 40% contribution, followed by the United States, which contributes around 27% share. The market capitalization of the finance service industry was 5.6 trillion euro in 2016, which has raised to 7.4 trillion euro by mid-2021. The global banking landscape is changing at a rapid pace. A few decades back, the banking used to happen in person. Nowadays, it is becoming more digital as we adopt more advanced tools and technologies. While doing so, there are many loopholes being also created, and the fraudsters are taking use of these loopholes to gain the sensitive information about the customers and use it for the malicious gains. Taking a look at the official statistics, the top 3 industries which heavily face the fraud attempt rates, wherein the finance services tops the list, followed by which is a travel and leisure and the gaming industry. In financial services industry, which is has experienced 150% increase in the fraud attempt rates. Travel and leisure has around 25%, and the gaming industry around 10%. Globally, there is an increase of around 24% when it comes to the fraud attempt rate. Some of the countries such as Colombia and Brazil, they are experiencing very high fraud attempt rates close to 60% and 53%. The rest of the countries such as United Kingdom, Canada, and US, they stand close to 53%, 23 and 25% respectively, which is pretty high from last 1 year's data of 2020 till 2021. I would like to take a pause for a moment and discuss about one aspect of the internet which is very closely related to the fraud in the finance industry. We all are aware about the internet and we all use it for our own source of information or listening music as well as watching the videos. But that compromises only 4% of the internet. Rest of the internet, which is 96%, comprised of deep web and the dark web. Deep web comprise the 90%, which includes the confidential information, which is not openly available and heavily encrypted, so only authorized persons are allowed to access it. That information contains the medical records, our financial records, government resources, as well as the scientific reports. Apart from that, the dark web, which comprises remaining 6%, is what we need to be looked into, because this is the platform wherein all the malicious activities are carried out. Be it is information about drug trafficking, exchanging the confidential information and selling that, as well as the Tor encrypted sites. All of the malicious activities takes place at this place. What kind of information is shared? So going by the reports, we see that the name, social security number, bank account number, our date of birth, phone numbers, and payment card full number, such kind of sensitive information is shared on a dark web. Now, apart from the consumers, The larger organizations have been also a victim of such kind of data breaches, and that trend has been in place since a decade. Back from 2013 until December 2021, many organizations are facing such a data breach. All the data which is collected over this internet, which is being carried out from the surface web, deep web, it is being taken straightly to the dark web, where it is being heavily exchanged and sold. All the bigger organizations such as Yahoo, Equifax, Facebook, or the Merit International, all such organizations have been facing and have been continuously victim of such kind of data breaches. Going by the record, around 68 records are stolen every second, and each record is being sold at an average price around $150. Not only the bigger organizations, smaller organizations are also part of such a data breach, and if around 43% of the organizations across the globe still face that problem. Talking about the losses, the average loss about such data breach is close to $4 million annually. From my point of view, this is really a big concern because data is really sensitive and confidential. And if there are loopholes in the system, that needs to be seriously looked into to protect the consumer rights. We will take a look on the various kinds of fraud and what are the implications on the organization. Starting with the card fraud, as the name implies, the card fraud is something wherein your card details from the debit card or the credit card are taken in a malicious way and will be used by the fraudster for all illegal activities. That record not only contains the card number, but it also contains your the data which is available in the chip. That depends on whether you use the card at the swipe machine as well as online. So the United States is a top contributor for such card fraud. Close to 47% of the reportings have been found from the United States. Globally, there has been an increase around 15%. And talking about the losses, a whopping $11 billion was back in 2012. We are in 2022, so we can consider 15% increase annually, and we can get an idea about the losses this card fraud is incurring. Second win is an online banking fraud. The online banking fraud, as the name implies, is the bank account fraud, wherein the fraudsters will use various ways, such as uh, sending you an SMS or sending a spam email, wherein the links are shared. And when the user clicks on those links, they are taken straightly to the third party, which exactly shows the same web page as the bank's internet banking page. When the users input their credentials such as ID and passwords, this is where the victim get hold of your bank account. Globally, around 41% are targeted by such attacks, and they are always in a failure to recover such money back. 17% of the cases they were reported, but the money gets disappeared during the e-banking session. So this is really important for the financial institutes to ensure that their consumers are well aware about the various techniques that the hackers use to gain the confidential information. Third one is the insider fraud. This is one more serious concern for the banking and financial institutions. The insider fraud is something which is done by the person who is a part of the banking system. At the same time, he has enough authority so he could get the access to the customer's sensitive information. With their authority, They could not only carry out the illegal transactions behind customers' back, they also have the sensitive information about customers' financial transactions and their personal information. That information, as we had seen earlier, that is being sold at the dark web. Globally, 72% of the organizations are plagued with such insider fraud. Talking about EMEA region, 1 out of every 5 person is knowledgeable about such kind of manipulations happening in their financial institutions. Globally, only 25% of the fraud losses are recovered. In addition to the internal frauds, which are on the steady rise, there are external perpetrators are also using the innovative approaches to collect such information. The total fraud as of now uh, reported were 5.9 billion by mid 2021. Now, there are various platforms over which such information is collected. That is the Know Your Customer platform or the social media, as well as gaming and e-commerce platforms, where a lot of financial transactions happen and customers share not only their personal information, such as name, ID, address, they also share the card information. So the customers' awareness about the technological landscape is really important and critical, because that is where the first uh, line of defense starts. The customers are not aware about such loopholes or the various ways the hackers use to collect the information. It becomes a challenging for the institutions to act against them and prevent in a desired time frame. Talking about the various fraud impacts on the institution, uh, there is a revenue loss associated, as well as the customer retention challenges and the uh, legal actions by the various authorities. Talking about revenue loss itself, 5% of the revenue gets lost from the entire system. And talking about the defraud cost per customer to be compensated is in the ratio of 1:4. For example, $10 which is lost for the fraud, in that case, the bank has to refund $16 to the customer. And apart from that, there are very other expenses involved, such as investigation expenses, chargebacks. There are legal fees associated, as well as fees and interest. There are customer retention challenges whenever such organizations or the banks become victim of the fraud attempts. A bank is not only liable to return them the frauded amount, but uh, customers also lose the trust in the bank's security system. That impacts their brand image. And this ultimately causes the prevention of the expansion of customer base, wherein customers will be hesitant to go with such organization in near future. One real example is of Western Union, wherein they had to refund $153 million to the scam victims. So one can understand how severely it can impact on a brand image as well. Apart from these two, there are, to protect the consumer rights, the government and the legal uh, entities will also step in to ensure that such events should not repeat in the near future. To prevent them, they will also impose the heavy fines. One such example wherein Capital One was fined for the 80 million as their data was heavily breached. Another one includes the Bank of America and the JP Morgan, where the fines close to 70 billion and 40 million accordingly were imposed on them. So these are certain uh, impacts the banks or the financial institution may face in a longer run, which needs to be considered. Uh, Considering about various ways or the practices so as to prevent such attempts, as an immediate remedy, we could think that there are uh, various ways the bank try to uh, protect the customer's information. Many banks or financial institutions, they advise their consumers not to share any kind of personal information across any platform. For example, ID card, insurance card, or the any kind of uh, bank card information on the platform which is not trustable and quite a new platform, very which was never heard before, as well as be sure about the third-party websites. This is the most common way most of the banks do. But apart from that, the various examples which we had seen earlier, the data breach, those kind of problems needs to be tackled in a bit different way. For example, most of the banks' software system, operating systems, as well as firewalls, they will have certain loopholes because of which all the data breaches happen, and the hackers will use the sophisticated way. They will always create new kind of loopholes, trying to gain the access through the various firewalls and get into the system. So it's also necessary that the institutions ensure that all their softwares are also updated from time to time to tackle such kind of the viruses as well as the malwares. Third one is securing the information from the hard copy and storing it in a locked cabinet, which is protected with the CCTV coverages. So it is really important that those are also secured in a way which is not accessible to anybody else apart from the relevant key person. Next one is it necessary to ensure all the electronic data which should be heavily encrypted and stored in such a database which are very hard to breach, and setting the protocols so that only the key personnel will have access to it is one more way the data breach could be prevented. Last one but not least is that training the banks or the institution's own staff and spreading the awareness about various systems or the sophisticated attacks such kind of hackers use is really important. In addition to that, the institutions should also create awareness amongst their customer base so that they shouldn't fall prey of such attacks in a near future. Going ahead, I would like to discuss about what are the various AI opportunities in the finance sector. Before going to the AI approach, I would like to discuss about the differences between the traditional approach and why one should go for the machine learning approach. So in a traditional approach, whenever any kind of attempts used to happen, when the fraudster attempts the fraud, then the team of experts used to investigate there in person, that using specified rules and regulations. But that kind of analysis used to take a lot of time to investigate and arrive at a conclusion where it is a genuine transaction or the fake transaction. And now, although this approach seems robust, but when we consider about a lot of cases and a lot of data is being ingested into the system, then it will be out of control for the team of experts to handle and personally look into it. So such kind of manual rule-based systems are not quite efficient when we talk about big data and digitalization, because there will be always sophisticated ways to find a loophole and enter into the system and carry out the transaction which look like the genuine transaction, but it will be the malicious attack on the system, and it will also gain the confidential information about the customers. So in this entire process, the genuine customers really suffer a lot. Not only they lose the money, they also lose the trust in the system, and it becomes a painful for them not to gain access or never to get the money lost. So What is that the machine learning is providing us? What kind of opportunities or how it will help us to tackle such problems? So before diving into that, I would like to take a small pause for our couple of uh, audiences uh, who are new to the data science. So I would like to talk about machine learning a bit here. Machine learning is a process wherein we use the sophisticated algorithms wherein uh, we leverage the data and these algorithms will try to understand the insights from that data, try to capture the pattern from the provided data set. Based on that, the predictions will be made. So there are various ways in the machine learning to tackle and find these patterns as well as make the predictions. There is supervised learning, there is unsupervised learning, and there is something called deep learning, deep reinforcement learning, and these kind of approaches help us in dealing with such kind of complicated problems which are way beyond the human capacity. So the machine learning as a topic is certainly vast in nature, which is well beyond the this webinar discussion. But machine learning is something wherein the algorithms and the data go hand in hand and help us to get the necessary predictions in shortest possible time. So coming back to the machine learning approach, as we discussed, it ingests with a lot of data and it has the algorithm to process that. So whenever user carries any kind of transactions, we take that as a data and we feed it to the machine learning model. These kind of models, they try to understand the user's behavior from the financial transactions and try to understand the normal and the abnormal behavior from the given data set. This is how they use to detect whether the transaction is fraud or the anomalous behavior in the uh, transaction is happening. This entire deployment is completely automated and it doesn't require or requires very less human intervention. This is also adaptable with the latest tools and technologies with the changing data landscape. And this works in a real time so as the system will be able to catch the imposters and block them in a real time and I notify the necessary personnel or the system to uh, block such transactions as well as inform about the imposter information such as the location from which this attack is happening or the IP addresses as well as other relevant information that will help the bank personnel to take the necessary action accordingly. So how the machine learning will help in fraud prevention and detection? So the primary objective in machine learning implementation for such application will be to reduce the false positive. So there are two terms involved in that. One is false and positive. Second term is something which machine learning will algorithms will predict. The first term is something which is ground truth. So although the machine learning algorithms will predict it as a positive, but in ground truth it is not. So basically it is a legit transaction, but the detection has been done as a suspicious. So we try to reduce such false positive alerts by using the machine learning algorithms. The objective is the genuine customer should not suffer and in turn shouldn't affect on the brand image of the institution. So it is always a challenging act to make a well balance between the false positive, true negative, such kind of terms. Another one is the anomaly detection. Anomaly detection is something which is abnormal transaction happening in a real time. So system should be able to catch that in a real time and block that. At the same time, it should create the flag alerts So the relevant key personnel are being notified in addition to the institution as well as the consumers. So this helps in the risk assessment for the financial institutions. Third one is tackling with the big data. As we discussed earlier, it becomes difficult for the even the, for the team of experts to deal the big data in a real time. So when we use the machine learning, we try to utilize as much as data possible. And as the volume of data grows in size, we change our the approach from the machine learning to the deep learning, so as we use this historical data and we train the models. And as the volume goes on increasing, the model accuracy will also improve with respect to the time in a longer run. And this is how we could leverage the uh, machine learning and deep learning in a real time. So these are a couple of ways through which we could attain our goals in preventing the frauds and protecting consumer rights by utilizing the machine learning. I would like to discuss about two case studies here. One is done with the machine learning and another one is implemented with the deep learning. The first one is the fraud detection and prevention, which was done for the leading client who offers the bank accounts, loans, and various financial products in the South Asia region. The challenge of this particular clientele facing was the rapid increase in the malicious attack and the fraudulent transactions. This particular client was heavily investing into the team of experts to investigate such kind of frauds 24/7. But the volume of incidents were quite large, close to 20,000 incidents. That is nothing but a huge investment in time and labor. And this also makes the bank's service offerings uh, quite slow, and it impacts on the bank's image as well. So that put a lot of burden on the management as well, because legitimate transactions were getting blocked and the processing was slow. The customer experience was also getting deteriorated over the period of time. The client approached the Suneratech team, and Suneratech team implemented a micromodel approach using the historical data sets. We also captured the various chargebacks in data sourcing process. Now, by closely working with the experts from the finance background, as well as our internal team of machine learning experts, we came up with the machine learning model, which were able to capture the anomalies in the transaction in real time, as well as any kind of spam detection, capturing the suspicious activities. And this entire design, development, and the deployment we carried out in the cloud environment that ensured not only the system's security protocols are 24/7 live and taking care of the customer's sensitive information, but it also helped improve the user experience of the customers and the efficiency in a longer run. The business benefits for this clientele was there was 53% reduction in the fraud investigation cost. There were also 7x annual saving from such reduced fraud losses that improved our efficiency a lot, as our machine learning model could make the predictions with more than 97% accuracy. That helped the organizations to tackle with a lot of challenges. And this ultimately resulted in the better utilization of their infrastructure as well as the resources. This was the machine learning based solution created for the fraud prevention. Second one is the security and fraud control system developed using the deep learning. This was for the clientele who is accredited institutions offering the consumer banking as well as various card services. The challenges faced by this customer was the fake customers, the theft of the cards, and the cash withdrawal safety concerns. There were resource challenges associated as the bank were running short of staff, and there were equipment challenges because there were not sufficient equipments to process such kind of incidents that caused the slow and poor service to the customers. In addition to that, the revenue loss associated with such kind of transactions, they were really impacting on the legitimate customers, and they were ending their financial relationship with the banks. That also impacted the brand image of the bank, as well as put the management in distress because their customer base was shrinking at a very rapid rate. So for this particular clientele, we utilize the computer vision approach, and we develop the facial recognition technology in order to identify the legit customers. And without the use of ATM card, those customers could withdraw the cash from the ATM. So we solve the problem of carrying the ATM when customer goes to the cash withdrawal machine. So the cash withdrawal safety concerns were tackled. And in the second step, we implemented a deep learning model for document extraction and verification. So all the hard copies when the customer submitted while opening the bank account, the information could be captured using computer vision and stored in a secure database that improved the accuracy of data collection and the processing. So even in this approach, we took the cloud design, development, and the deployment approach that not only ensured the protection of the data, but speed of the services offering were also improved a lot. The business benefits to this clientele was there were 60% reduction in card theft. The customer growth were 5x in a longer time horizon, and the business revenue steadily observed the growth that caused the sharp rise in the bank's customer base increasing rapidly. So talking about the various business benefits for implementing the machine learning in the finance domain as well as any other domain, that include the speed, efficiency, scalability, and the accuracy. The machine learning algorithms can process enormous amount of data in real time without impacting the accuracy. Talking about the efficiency, many mundane tasks are cut down and automated in such a way that in the shortest possible time, the tasks are executed in real time, and that helps increase the efficiency. Talking about scalability, we have discussed about the big data ingestion. As the volume of data goes on increasing, our algorithms becomes better and better while making the predictions. And this is how it reduces the rule-based human analysis, which has the time and cost implications for the organization. Accuracy, manual analysis is always error-prone. There is possibility that it may miss the subtle transactions along the go, but for the machine learning approaches, it is very easy to capture such kind of anomalies without the human intervention. So it not only captures the minute drips, but it also automates the process and makes it easy for the personnel involved, in a sense that they will have to monitor it, unlike the rule-based processing. So the final thoughts on machine learning approach for the fraud prevention and detection is there is a lot of investment cost involved, but one can always think in a way that when one does not have the sufficient data, but they can always start with the machine learning approach. The small volume of the data and with very less amount of investment, they can take that approach. And as the volume of data increases in size, then one can consider investing in a deep learning wherein we not only leverage the deep learning techniques, but we also improve our accuracy and efficiency in a longer run. So any possible small investment uh, that outnumbers in a long run, even though it feels that it is quite higher. So that really reaps the benefit for the organization in a longer time horizon. Apart from this, there are plethora of applications of the AI. It not only in the field of finance domain as such, but other domains such as customer support, sales, as well as automation. It finds application in engineering as well as various technological domains as well. There is increase in AI investment observed over last couple of years, as but still there is a lack of awareness among the companies because not, close to 50% of the companies still hesitant because of various issues such as the data protection as well as the performance of the machine learning and their implementation. There are various reasons such as the organization may not have the efficient resources to execute them. At the same time, the organizations are also very concerned about the data safety and the processing. This poses the another challenge for implementing such solutions. Uh, uh, in addition to that, we also observe from last couple of years there have been a lot of incidences been plummeting only because a lot of organizations, financial organizations, they have considered implementing such solutions using the deep learning or the machine learning. And this is how they have been able to uh, successfully uh, reduce the such fraud attempts or the malicious attacks. In this way, we could utilize the machine learning to tackle most of the problems in multiple domains, and we could find the solutions using data science. This ends this webinar, and I would be happy to take up any questions you may have pertaining to this webinar or the data science as a whole. Please put down your questions in the chat box. We'll be able to how proven are unsupervised models, either where there is an inadequate training data or in hunting the unknown unknowns. Question raised by Matt Gilham. Matt, the unsupervised learning models are lazy in a way that the data which we provide is not labeled. So there are various ways to approach if we have inadequate training data. We start with the unsupervised approach wherein we try to identify the various groups, and then we will have to manually label in certain cases if the data is not adequate enough. And then we apply some supervised learning techniques on top of it to identify such kind of unknowns. Question from the Said, how customer can be protected from these kind of frauds? So as we discussed, one way is the customer awareness. And for the financial institutions, it is really necessary to implement updated softwares. But in addition to that, to prevent any kind of malicious attack in real time, one should rely and it is recommended that they should implement such innovative approaches using data science. This is how most of the companies are able to tackle down, because as we have seen that the hackers will use always the sophisticated approaches wherein for system it looks like it is a genuine, but it will be the fraud attack in a way. This is how it needs to be taken care of. Well, another question from Ahmed, are these kind of transactions are insured to cover the losses? Well, I would say it will depend a lot on the process as well as the various rules and regulations set up by the government as well as the organization. Because unless and until there is a strong firewall in place, there is no way one could stop it. That amount could get vanish in the air in fraction of seconds. And as we have been hearing about blockchain, one could encrypt it heavily and use it in multiple ways. So it will be challenging unless and until we use the latest tools and technologies to trap them. Any other questions? If any of our participants have. Okay, in the meantime, I'll slide over to the next page. So we have various offices across different parts of the globe. In United States, we are based out of Troy. Uh, in UAE, we are based in Sharjah. In India, we have satellite office in Hyderabad. In Canada, it's in Stony Creek, and in Singapore, it's based in Chinatown Point. Apart from these, we are also active on the social platforms such as LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So please feel to reach out for any kind of discussion, solutions in this regard, and our team will be happy to support accordingly.